So today, I would like to talk to you about the story of Hussein. Hussein is the person who easily gets stressed out. He panics. He panics quickly. So during the time of crisis that we have today, when you've seen people getting laid off from work and people getting dying, getting infected, and the economy is getting affected, the stock market is going down, he panicked quickly and he said, I will lose my job. And when I lose my job, I will not be able to pay my mortgage. I'll not be able to pay for my house. They will kick me out. I'll be in the street. And no one will be able to take care of my kids, for my wife. And he kept putting scenarios after scenarios. And his performance are getting affected at work, while his company is one of the companies actually that did well during the pandemic. And he was doing very well at work, but now, because of his panic, the wrong panic, he started to do the wrong decisions. His performance at work has got affected. He sold stocks in the worst time. He got out of the 401k as expecting that he will lose his job. He started to not pay his mortgage, going into foreclose as saying, I will not, when I get fired, I'll lose all my money, the stocks will go down, and I'll be in the street. So he started to expect the worst that might happen to him. And at work one day, he fell down unconscious from the stress that he had. And he said, also, I'm going to die. And he gathered his kids and his wife. He started to say, no one will be able to take care of you all after me. And he kept panicking, stressed out, until he got depression and he became so sick. And then one day, he went to the doctor when he became very sick. The doctor did the checkup on him, listened to his story. And subhanAllah, when Allah wants to help you, He will put all the reasons that you will be helped. The doctor was actually a wise Muslim brother. He said, here's the medicine. But in addition, I'll tell you about one thing. If you've done it, you will get a lot better than what you are today. Better than the medicine. And he told him, it's a worship. Hussein looked at him. Worship? Did I go mistakenly to the mosque? He said, yes. It's a worship that most people ignore. Actually, they forget. It's while it is in the Quran, it is the Sunnah. It's documented from the ancestors, our Salaf. But people forgot about it. Even when I tell you about it today, you will get surprised. Is this a worship? Is this a ibadah? Most people even forgot. I mean, if you heard about it, you say, yeah, it's a word, but you don't know how to practice it. So subhanAllah, this doctor actually gave him the map, the action plan, how to practice this worship. And from that day, Hussein's life completely changed. He is today successful at work. Actually, the company that he works at, one of the best companies that worked actually very well during the pandemic. And he got promoted. He became better when he started to do this ibadah. Actually, this ibadah is what we need today to be able to survive in the time of crisis. It is the time, it is the ibadah that everyone needs. You know, Some mothers actually, they start thinking about their daughter when they are in middle school, how they are going to get married. And when they get married, how if they got divorced. See, they're not married yet. They're still middle school, but they're worried about things that will never happen. And when they get married, they'll get divorced. And what are they going to do when they get divorced? And will be dead at this time. So things after things after things. They're always expecting the worst that will happen to them. They need this ibadah. I heard about someone, when he heard about tsunami, he stood up in front of the ocean, looking at her and said, now tsunami will happen to us here. What am I going to do? It never happened. But they're always expecting the worst will happen to them. And it's affecting their side. They're looking into the dark side of everything. This ibadah will be able to save us all. This is what we need at this time. And I'm pretty sure I'll let you try to guess whatever ibadah. Just pick ibadah. I'm pretty sure 100% you will not be able to guess what is this ibadah. It is حسن الظن بالله, to trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What? Is this ibadah? Yes. See? People forgot that this is ibadah. And it's mentioned in the Quran many times. The word dhan has two meanings. It depends on your state of heart. Either doubt, وظنوا بالله الظنون, وظنوا بالله غير الحق ظن الجاهلية, or certainty, confidence, which وظنوا ألا ملجأ من الله إلا إليه في سورة التوبة. This when they were certain that there is no place except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is in the Quran. And it's mentioned when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was in the worst time, when they were Mecca, the kuffar were planning to kill him, and he put Ali ibn Abi Talib in his bed, and he went running the immigration to the Medina with Abu Bakr. They were in this cave, and they were seeing him. They were exactly above them. And Abu Bakr panicked, and he told the Prophet ﷺ, if they looked underneath, just under their feet, they will see us. Calmly, the Prophet ﷺ told him, ما ظنك. See the word ظن. ما ظنك بإثنين الله ثالثهما. What's your trust of Allah that there are two and Allah is their third? Allahu ma'ahum. And it's mentioned in the Quran when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about this situation as well. This is حسن الظن بالله. It has been practiced so many times with the Salaf. Mentioned the books. But unfortunately we forgot it. What does it mean? How to practice? How to do it? Let me tell you the hadith that came with first. So let me explain. This hadith is muttafaq alayhi, narrated by Bukhari and Muslim. So the most authentic book on earth is the Quran. It is mutawatir, and it is the most authentic book. Next to it, after it, is the hadith that been narrated by, agreed upon by Bukhari and Muslim. Those, they've done a lot of effort to purify the narrations of the Prophet ﷺ. And if there's something both agreed upon, it is the second after the Quran. And then after that, third would be one of them and the other. So Muslim, narrated by Muslim only, or narrated by Bukhari only. But this hadith is narrated by all the narrators. Ahmad al-Khamsa, all the narrators, Ibn Mad, all of them narrated it. But in addition to that, it also agreed upon by Bukhari and Muslim. So it's a very authentic hadith. It is narrated on Abi Hurairah radiallahu anhu that this is called Hadith Qudsi, that the Prophet ﷺ is narrating from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, أنا عند ظن عبدي بي. Here's the word ظن. It is that I am as my slave expects me to be. So whatever you expect from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will give you. And in narration from Ahmad, if he expects good, he will get good. He will get it. If he expects bad, he will get it. This is husn al-dhann. If you do husn al-dhann, that you expect always the good happen to you from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is what has been happening to us all the time. Allah always gave us the best for us. But we always panic quickly because we don't see what's the future. But if you are expecting and you have this inner peace that you are always trusting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will never panic and you will never worry about what will happen next. This is the ibadah of husn al-dhann billah, is to expect always the best from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, it has ways to practice. And before you practice it, it is a worship for the heart. It's different than the worship that you do with your limbs, with your body. Like, for example, if you did the prayers, the effect of the prayers after the prayers is done, it's done. But the prayer, the worship of the heart stays with you forever, even if you are sleeping, because it's iman. It comes from the heart, inside the heart. It's a belief. And Ibn al-Qayyim said that to be able to reach certain stage, you need to prepare the heart. You need to go through certain preparation. And to be able to prepare the heart first, to be able to practice, to get the trust of Allah, the feeling of the trust of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have to go through certain steps. And there are 5 things. 2 of them are mentioned here in the hadith, and the others are kind of implicit. Today I'll talk about the first thing. And actually I'll talk about what it is, and then I will start explaining it more and practicing it more in the next session. And it is actually from the hadith itself that's in front of us. يقول الله سبحانه وتعالى أنا عند ظن عبدي بي. We talked about this. I am as my slave expects me. What's the next? وأنا معه إذا ذكرني الله. Allah will be with you when you do the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you mention Allah, when you remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's exactly what the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam told Abu Bakr. ما بالك باثنين الله ثالثهما. Then the Rasul, because the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam was doing dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now let's see how can we practice this. I mean, you might ask, what do you mean by husn al-dhann? How can I worship husn al-dhann? How can I do husn al-dhann? Yep. So to practice husn al-dhann, trusting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it has 2 conditions. First condition, you have to do an action. There's something, and then you do, and then you trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the results. So to make it easier to understand how is it going, I'll give some examples. I'll give examples from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and from current situations that are happening as well. So the first example that I talked about it quickly, it's the immigration of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was in Mecca, they decided to kill him. And they said that they will get a man from each tribe and they will go and kill him while he is asleep in his bed. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him about what will happen. And then he put Ali radiallahu anhu in his bed, and he escaped from Mecca in the middle of the night. And then a lot of things happened. I mean, they went after him and they were able to find him. I would say tried to find him. So the first situation that he took an action, right? He planned very well. They've been planning this for a while. Even Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu bought the camels that they would go with. They had enough. They have enough zad and stuff to take with them during the travel. And they put Ali radiallahu anhu to give all the amana and the trust that was the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to the kuffar. And when the kuffar was very close, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made them blind. They couldn't see the Prophet and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. So the first situation, they went running after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they had a guide. It's very hard to go to map through the desert, so they get the best guide to go with them, and they actually was able to reach. They went to hide in a cave. He and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, and they went to this cave, and they almost looked inside. And Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was panicked. It's like they're just outside of the cave. So Abu Bakr told the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if they just turned towards us or looked underneath themselves, looked down, they will see us, Ya Rasulullah. And calmly, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told Abu Bakr, ما ظنك, and this is the ظن, حسن الظن بالله, باثنين ثالثهما Allah. What do you think? What do you expect from Allah? What do you expect from two? Allah is their third. What do you expect from Allah? He will protect them. That Allah معهم وإذا ذكرني وأنا معه إذا ذكرني. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be with them. And this is in the Quran as well. قال لصاحبه لا تحزن إن الله معنا. So this is the thing, that they plan and they took an action. They didn't say it. The Prophet ﷺ said, I'm completely trust Allah. I'll stay in my bed. They can do whatever you do, and I expect the best. No. This is not the ibadah of husn al-dhan. So husn al-dhan, you need to do an action. Allah told you to say, for example, this dua, nothing will happen to you. Then you expect what Allah ordered you. You trust the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is in the Quran. وَقَالَ رَبُّكُمْ ادْعُونِي أَسْتَجِبْ لَكُمْ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised, if you ask me, I will fulfill your dua. I will answer your dua. I will answer your supplication. So don't say, yeah, Allah knows what's inside me. You should give me the best. No, you need to make effort. You need to make that dua, and Allah will accept the dua. And this is what the Prophet ﷺ used to do. This is all the prophets used to do. So Ayyub radiallahu anhu was sick for 40 years in some of the narrations. And even his wife kept telling him, make dua so Allah, because the Prophet's dua is accepted. So make dua so Allah can cure you. He said, I've been healthy for a long time. 40 years is not that much. If Allah, this is what Allah wants. So he stayed sick. And he didn't say, okay, I expect that Allah will just cure me. But the moment he made the dua, Rabbi inni massani ad-durru wa anta arhamur rahimin. Oh Allah, harm has touched me, and you are the most merciful. So in this case, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cure him. So there has to be action. So the first thing, you have to do something, and then trust Allah on the results. So the ibadah here is not to do the action. The ibadah is not to panic, not to stay awake all night worried about what will happen. Do your best with ihsan, and we'll talk about ihsan as well. another session, because Allah ordered us to do the best, to do everything with the best way. إن الله يحب إذا عمل أحدكم عملا أن يتقنه, to do it the best way. إن الله كتب الإحسان على كل شيء, that Allah wrote, make it obligatory to do the perfection on everything. So you do it with ihsan and expect the best from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when the calamity happened, what we had today, the crisis, like what happened with the story with Hussein, what we talked about in the beginning, he should have done his best, like what he's done after that. This is Husn al-Dhan. He has been doing his best at work and only expects the best. That he expects the best from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Doesn't have to get laid off. And the stocks, his stocks might go big, it might go high or down. But the risk that he has is only when he cashed out. I mean, sometimes people, they think, okay, my account, my 401k, my stocks is getting millions. But actually, you haven't even spent it yet. Because the risk, this example has been given many times. The risk is like, for example, maybe someone rich and his son, for example, has a headache. He goes to the emergency and he goes and tries to check up and do all the x-rays and all of this stuff to try to see what's the headache from. And he's like spending thousands of dollars. Like he thinks that it's a corona or COVID-19 or something, and he just panics. And he spends like thousands of dollars. He spent those thousands of dollars on sickness. The same time, let's say he spent $10,000. Now, some wise Muslim, he found his son is like sick. And he expects this is the best. He took all the precautions. He gives him something for the immunity. Because even the COVID or the influenza is like, you can't treat it actually. It's such the immune system. So I just gave him something, gave him pain relief, made sure that he can breathe, all of this stuff. The pain relief is like cost a couple of cents. And then he just slept during this night, and in the morning, the kid was fine. So the risk for this wise Muslim is like the $10,000 that the other person spent. So this is the risk that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do barakah in the little. So it doesn't mean that the numbers that you see today is your risk. It's better to go with the market going down than you spend it on health issues. But let's go back to another story that happened during the immigration. So when they couldn't find him in the first time, the kuffar, they said, okay, we'll give huge reward for anyone can find him. There was one of the kuffar called Suraqa ibn Malik. He was one of the best guides. He knows every detail and he is a tracker. He can track people. He was able to find the Prophet ﷺ, and he was coming with his fastest horse quickly, and he was prepared to cash the reward. And from far, Abu Bakr told the Prophet ﷺ, Ya Rasulullah, Suraqa is going to catch us. He is there, just few meters away. So the Prophet ﷺ raised his hand. See, this is the action. And said this dua. Try to memorize this dua. He said, Allahumma kfinihi bima shi't wa kayfa shi't innaka ala kulli shay'in qadir. Oh Allah, just block him. Just protect me from him with the way you want, subhanak. So immediately the horse fell down and Suraqa went off the horse. He was surprised because this is not easy. Someone like he knows how to ride the horse and they are professionals. To fall down from the horse, it's weird. He was like, looked at the horse, tried to get the horse up. He couldn't. And then tried second time and the Prophet said the dua again. But the thing I want to say here, he said the dua. He didn't wait, smile and wait from time to time. No. He said the dua, and this dua, you can say it because it protects you from Allah subhanahu, from the evil. Allah will protect you from the evil. And this is the same dua that of Ashab al-Ukhdud, the qissa of the boy of the Ashab al-Ukhdud, when the king tried to kill him multiple times, and every time he said, Allahumma kfinihim bima shi'ta wa kayfa shi'ta innaka ala kulli shay'in qadir. For this dua is very powerful. This is the trust. This is husn al-dhann billah, that you do what Allah asked you. So there is a dua that the Prophet told us to protect ourselves, and it did protect the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is the thing. You have to do an action. You can't sit and say, yeah, everything will be fine. So there is an action, and then you trust Allah on the results. You don't panic. You don't stay up at night and say, what will happen? I did all my best. Maybe tomorrow he will not like the presentation. Maybe my manager will think this. Maybe my wife will take it. No, just calm down. Do your best. Ask the experts and do the thing the best way. It's not only what you know, you try to learn how to do it the best way. If there is a problem with someone, try to learn how to deal with them. Read about how people dealt with this before. Learn from the experience. Do your best. Present to the person. Do whatever you want to the person, and then expect the best from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is what I say about dua and dhikr. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَأَنَا مَعَهُ إِذَا ذَكَرَنِي, and I will be with him. This is أَنَا عِنْدَ ظَنَّ عَبْدِي بِي, the continuation of the hadith. وَأَنَا مَعَهُ إِذَا ذَكَرَنِي, that I will be with him if he mentioned me. As you can see in the hadith, إِذَا ذَكَرَنِي, and this is the condition. You have to do an action. So this is the dua and dhikr that you do. There are things that Prophet ﷺ told us, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us to say and do in certain situations. So for example, if you are looking for protection from the corona, there's certain, from diseases in general, there is certain dhikr that you need to say day in the morning, at the beginning of the morning, and at the beginning of the night. When you say those dhikr, Allah will protect you. وَأَنَا مَعَهُ إِذَا ذَكَرَنِي. So for example, the dua that I said when Suraqa went down. And the funny thing about the rest of the story of Suraqa, when he found himself 3 times, he knew he's protected. The Prophet is protected. So he said, yeah, I will not be able to reach him. There's a power that's protecting him. This is the husn al-dhann billah. So he said, Ya Muhammad, give me something. So he's asking the Prophet ﷺ. Now he was coming to catch him to get the reward. Now he found that he's protected. He will not get the reward. So he's trying to get anything. So I told him, give me something, Ya Rasulullah. I mean, I've been here. I've been trying to catch you, but give me something. You're protected. So even see this, the husn al-dhann that the Prophet ﷺ, and the confidence. The entire world is looking after him, and he's only him and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. And he's about to be killed. And what he gave him? He doesn't have anything on him. What did he give him? He said, أَعِدُكَ سُوَارَيْ كِسْرَى. So Kisra is the rank that they used to give for the king of the Rome. So he said, I'll give you Suwaray Kisra. I mean, what are you talking about? I mean, he is only one person. This is even before going to Medina. There's no power. There's no people following him that much. Only the weak are following him. And you're telling me you will conquer Rome and give me the Suwaray is what they wear in their hand, in their wrist. You gave me the jewelry of the king. Would you believe something like that? And Suraqa just believed and left. Subhanallah. After years of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and even after Abu Bakr, when Umar radiallahu anhu was the Khalifa, and they were able to get the Suwaray Kisra, they were in front of him, and he cried. The Prophet, the Umar radiallahu anhu, said, Ayna Suraqa? And subhanallah, he left. He lived that time and he was alive until he got Suwarai Kisra. And he said, لقد, the Prophet ﷺ promised you the Suwarai Kisra, here they are. And everyone cried at this moment. But this is Husn al-Dhann billah. He knew that he one day, the Islam will be everywhere. And they will have Suwarai Kisra. SubhanAllah, this story really like proves the Husn al-Dhann billah. So let's go back again. وَأَنَا مَعَهُ إِذَا ذَكَرَنِي. So there are certain dhikr that you say and you trust Allah on the result. That's why I said to be able to reach the stage of Husn al-Dhann billah, to be from those that the to tawakkul, Husn al-Dhann, that trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there are certain steps, and the first one is the dhikr. وَأَنَا مَعَهُ إِذَا ذَكَرَنِي. So let's finish the hadith. فَإِن ذَكَرَنِي فِي نَفْسِهِ ذَكَرْتُهُ فِي نَفْسِهِ. Allah. Then when you mention Allah, do dhikr of Allah, when you say subhanallah now, Allah is mentioning you by name right now. Right now, He is mentioning you by your name. And Allah, one of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ash-Shakur. Ash-Shakur, that means He gives you more. When you give, He gives you more. It's not that He gives you even the same. No, gives you more. The multiplier. So Ash-Shakur subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you imagine, when you do subhanallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He mentions you with a better dhikr. ذكرته في نفسي وإذا ذكرني في ملأ وإن ذكرني في ملأ ذكرته في ملأ خير منه. And if He mentions me in dhikr in a gathering, I will mention Him in a gathering better than that. Imagine the gathering of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, gathering of angels and prophets. Imagine that, right now, like the gathering that we have right now. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning us by name, every one of us by our names, with the angels, with Jibreel, right now. This is beautiful. How can you not trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So that's why dhikr is the first step to get you closer to this ibadah. So let's now be more practical. How can I practice it? What's the actions I can take? So first thing we said the dhikr. And the first thing in dhikr is the dua. Most of the dhikr, by the way, is dua. So I encourage myself and everyone is to try to say the morning dhikr, Azkar al-Sabah, from Hisn al-Muslim. It's one of the authentic books. I know like 15 main and most authentic ones. And most of them are dua. It's like, Allahumma nas'aluka al-'afwa wal-'afiyya. Oh Allah, I ask you to protect me. It's all dua. So the best way to do this, by the way, that I've tried, this is from my experience. First, say the dhikr in the Arabic words with the numbers that was said to do to get the ajr from saying it in the Arabic word. I want you to do the same number but in your language. So see the translation, and I will go with dhikr every time, one dhikr that we, or dua, that is authentic, and we go through the translation. What does it mean? The story behind it. So you have the yaqeen, you have this trust and understand what you're saying as well, because this is very important to improve the state of your heart. Because we're talking here not only to just keep repeating things, it's to get your heart to move to the state of trusting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So during dua, what's the trust that you do during dua? How can you trust? How can you do husn al-dhann? So in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَقَالَ رَبُّكُمْ ادْعُونِي أَسْتَجِبْ لَكُمْ. So this is like a promise from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, this is the verse, translation of the verse. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, ask me and I will fulfill your request. So ask me and I will fulfill. It's a promise from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not a promise from a person, it's a promise from Allah, who is the most powerful. So when there's a promise, you have to have husn dhan, trust. Yeah, Allah is capable of doing this. So and also the other verse in Surah Al-Baqarah, when someone asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Is Allah close so we ask Him softly, or He's far away so we call Him loudly?" So the Prophet didn't answer. I mean, the answer is easy, that Allah is close, but the Prophet stayed silent, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed from seven heavens the answer for this. And this is it's the only answer in the Quran that's not qul. Most of the replies in the Quran, when there is a question, يسألونك عن الخمر والميسر قل يسألونك عن الأنعام قل. Every time there is an answer, there's a question that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, tell them, O Muhammad. But this one, because he's close, Al-Qarib didn't say qul, say ya Muhammad. If my servant asked concern me, asked about me, I am close. فإني قريب. He didn't say قل, no, I'm answering because I'm close. I'm answering directly. إني قريب. So he's answering you. He is close, answering the requests of every supplicant, of every request. فإذا دعان. If you ask, so this is the action that you need. You need to make the dua, the ask, take the step of the action, and Allah will answer, because this is husn al-dhan. You trust that Allah promised of the answer, He will answer you. And there's another hadith that how it's the dua get answered in three ways. So Allah will always give you the best. So it's either you get, which is the most. This is something that's supposed to happen, most probability that you get what you asked for, or there was something bad that was about to happen, and this will block the bad thing that might happen to you. Or the third thing, it will be delayed to the day of judgment, and you get the reward of it, that you might have a lack of hasanat, and this will help you to enter Jannah. And only Allah knows what's the best for you, but trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, husn al-dhan, that you will get the best for you. And from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Udu Allah wa antum muqinuna bil ijaba." That ask Allah and you have husn dhan of Allah. Ask Allah and you're confident, with confidence, that He will answer your request. So it is about husn al-dhan. So all the Sahaba, and there are a lot of narrations about the Sahaba themselves. They say, I don't worry about the answer of the dua. I worry only about when I say it, because if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you ilham, He make you able to say the dua, it will be accepted. So today I'll talk about one of the morning dua, the authentic one that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to do. And during this time, specifically the crisis, the hard time, the hardship, and this diseases that's coming, I encourage myself and everyone to consistently say this. The dua of the morning, it always starts after Salat al-Fajr or from the Fajr. You can say it anytime until the Dhuhr. The best thing is to say it before Shuruq, but this is, of course, if you stayed from after you pray Fajr in Jama'ah and stayed until Shuruq, you get the same reward as Hajj and Umrah. This is authentic hadith. And see now, Makkah is closed, but you can get Hajj and Umrah every morning. But until Salat al-Dhuhr, until the Dhuhr, the adhan of Dhuhr. And the night is from Asr until midnight, or you can say it from the time of Asr. So this is the 2 times that you say the adhkar, and try your best to just dedicate those few minutes to say those adhkar. Actually, they take less than 20 minutes actually. And the adaya that it will say actually takes about 5 to 10 minutes. And if we add some of the tasbih and other things, it will take up to 20 minutes. So I encourage myself and everyone to try to say those adaya. So the first dua or dhikr that the Prophet ﷺ used to say it in the morning and in the evening, as I said, after Fajr and after Asr. It is this dua. It's very beautiful. It's narrated by Muslim. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min zawali ni'matik. Oh Allah, I ask you the protection from you taking out your bounty, your ni'mah. So what does this mean? So that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let's say He gave you rizq and you're rich. You work today and you have stocks, you have 401k. So the zawal al-ni'mah is the taking out, withholding this favor on you or these bounties. That, for example, one of them is the layoff. Someone working, getting his monthly salary, and he's rich and he's paying his payments and everything. Well, Allah, when he gets laid off, this is the ni'mah. It's been taken off from him. So when you say zawali ni'matik, remember all of them and what you can't remember. So, but those are the ni'mah. The ni'mah is definitely the health is ni'mah, but the health is being after this specifically the money that you get, the risk, definitely the health of your kids, your family, of course, the stocks, everything you own. So it is about the risk, what you get. You can eat in the morning, you can get your food, you have food to eat, you have house to live in. All of those is called ni'mah. So this is the ni'mah. So you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protection from taking His bounties, His favor on you. The second part, the second dua, وَتَحَوُّلُ عَافِيَتَكَ. So you do isti'adha. In this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ is asking protection from 4 things. The first thing is the ni'mah, the favor, rizq, everything you have, all bounties. Being able to see is one of those bounties and favors, all of those. And then the second one is specifically for health. So it is about, I ask you the protection, I refuge in you from the decline of the good health. So if you're healthy today, you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you don't get sick, you don't get one of those diseases that's happening, you don't get weak, so you stay healthy. So you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to stay healthy, which is a protection from the decline of the good health. وَتَحَوُّلِ عَافِيَتِكَ وَفُجَاءَةِ نِقْمَتِكَ. Now, so this is narrated in 2 ways. فُجَاءَةِ نِقْمَتِكَ وَفَجْأَةِ نِقْمَتِكَ. And you can say it, what are those two? So فَجْأَةِ نِقْمَتِكَ. Faj'ah means the sudden, something that comes suddenly. And niqmatik is the punishment. So they're asking that in this, you ask the protection from the sudden punishment. So the punishment always comes in so many ways. One of them is taking the risk as well, taking the bounty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, taking the health, a lot of things that can happen with a punishment, that can happen to a person. That comes, the diseases that's happened, actually this might be a punishment. COVID-19 and other things, the swine flu, all of those, there might be punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tsunami, all of those things, calamities, they might be punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you ask from all of that, the protection from all of that. And the sudden, specifically, the sudden punishment is the worst of all, because you don't have time even to repent. You get that suddenly without expectation. Sometimes if it's slowly, some people, they get like sick slowly, they get old. This is called slowly, it's the normal thing. This is, you might have time to repent, and when you have time before your death. But the sudden, it's not sudden, this is sudden punishment. It's one of the worst, and that the Prophet ﷺ is this third thing that he's asking protection from. And the third thing, which is general for everything, وَجَمِيعِ سَخَطِكَ, that the Prophet ﷺ asking anything that will make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala angry, give me protection from it. Oh Allah, give me protection from anything that will bring your anger at me. So this is very important hadith, dhikr, that you say it in the morning, and you say it in the afternoon after Asr, and it's beautiful. Try to understand the meaning of it and say it in Arabic, and then try to say it even in your language, whatever language you speak, English, Urdu, French, whatever. The language that you speak, try to say it with those words. Oh Allah, I'm asking the protection of the decline of your health, and from withholding your favor on me, from the sudden punishment. And I ask you the protection from anything that will bring your anger at me. Whatever you say, the way that the language, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala understands all of those. You say it in Arabic, this is because how it was revealed, the dhikr, you get the ajr for it, and then you start passing it by your heart with the language that you understand, and try to feel it and have the trust that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will answer your prayers, will answer your supplication. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من زوال نعمتك وتحول عافيتك وفجاءة نقمتك وجميع سخطك يا الله. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.